In 1979, Communist China began using a one-child per family policy to address overcrowding caused by its booming population. The result has been decades of thousands upon thousands of Chinese babies who are abandoned by parents who fear the law. This week's rescue of that just minutes-old baby, days-old baby from a sewer pipe made us wonder if that baby, too, was a victim of China's laws. To examine this, our guests are Chinese author and broadcaster Xinran. She's written a book on this topic. It's called Message from an Unknown Chinese Mother. And she joins us on the phone from Washington, D.C., where she is on book tour. And via Skype, we're joined by Columbia University political science professor Andrew Nathan. He has written extensively criticizing China's human rights abuses, and he serves as chair of the Advisory Committee on Asia for Human Rights Watch. Thank you to both of you for being here. I really do appreciate it. Xinran, I'd like to...
Hi, good morning. Yeah.
Hi. I want to start with you, if I may. You've written a really moving book about this issue of abandonment. Tell us what you discovered when collecting the stories that you've come across.
Oh, yes. I brought up in the city, so I had no idea what's going on in the countryside until I became journalist in the late 80s. So when I went to the countryside, and people asked me about, what my knowledge about ban the baby girl or even kill the baby girl. I was very shocked. I didn't understand what that means of the sentence. Then afterwards, I discovered, as a part of the housework, in the many poor countryside, and particularly in the mountain area, they have to kill the baby girl if the first child is not boy, because that means the family tree goes wrong, or that means the woman could be criminal of the family, or even for the village. And this has become more serious when the single-child policy started from 1979, when people had no choice on one child. And so this has come across my research. And so later on, about 20 years or 30 years, I just followed, and I interviewed more than 200 Chinese women face-to-face for different issues, why China has such a huge gap between the city and the countryside, and between generations, and between the knowledge of daily life.
Sure. Let me jump in right now. I'd like to bring Andrew into the conversation. Andrew, I read in researching this story about this horrific case where a woman who was 7 or 8 months pregnant was arrested because she was pregnant with her third child and was forced to abort this third-term baby. It's just an absolutely horrible story. How common is an occurrence like that due to this one-child per family policy?
We don't have any statistics on that, but it seems to be fairly common because the local Communist Party secretary, the person in charge of the village or of the town, is responsible for meeting central government quotas on births. And if somebody is breaking the rules and having an above quota birth, then often these local authorities will use force and do whatever they have to do to meet their quota.
Well, understanding that China really is pretty much a closed society to the rest of the world, and we don't know, as you've already said, the details of what's happening, why isn't the international community outraged by this and putting pressure on China to stop these kinds of acts?
Well, I think there is a lot of outrage, probably especially in the United States. And I remember in the George W. Bush administration, the administration cut its aid to the UN population planning program because that program, it was not involved in these abuses, but it was involved in promoting family planning in China. So there is a lot of outrage about it, but the Chinese government is pretty much, it's a very strong government, and it's not susceptible to foreign pressure. And also, the abuses that we're talking about are really not the policy of the central government. They're the outcome of the central government policy when local officials go beyond Chinese law to try to meet these quotas.
Sure, and it's fair to say that. Is there any movement that we know of that this one child per family policy might be relaxed? And also, when you're telling me that, talk a little bit about some of the problems that this is already and will create in terms of disproportionate number of males to females when it's time to marry, as well as the population aging and the needs of that population.
Right. So there's a strong advocacy now to abandon the one-child policy, and I think it will be abandoned, although I don't know how soon, for just the reasons that you mentioned, which is number one is that it's leading to there not being enough younger people in the working ages to support the aging population. So they're having an inevitable boom in the aged because those people are living longer and they don't have enough young people. It's going to be very expensive for them. And secondly, that since girl children are being abandoned or aborted or in some cases killed, there's too many boys in the population. And thirdly, there's a lot of resistance to this policy among the Chinese public. So for all those reasons, the voices for reform are growing, and probably it will be reformed sooner or later.
I sure hope you're right about that. We thank you so much, Andrew Nathan, for being with us, and Xinran, if you're still on the line, thank you so much for your time as well.
You're welcome.
Thank you.